aging and longevity mean nothing if you don't have the quality of life. We are living very old in the United States, but we're living with significant chronic disease. The standard American diet will provide us with all the foods that make us pretty sick, pretty young. We create a degenerative state that gets worse and worse as we go along. So we're living into our 80s, but the quality of life really starts to decline when we're in our 40s and 50s.
Welcome to the Wise Traditions podcast, sponsored by the Weston A. Price Foundation for Wise Traditions in Food, Farming, and the Healing Arts. We are your source for scientific knowledge and traditional wisdom to help you achieve optimal health.
I'm your host, Hilda Labrada Gore. This is episode 134, and my guest is Dr. Alvin Danenberg. Al is a periodontist, a certified functional medicine practitioner, and a certified primal health coach. He is also the author of Crazy Good Living. He was recently featured as one of the experts on the recently released Human Longevity Project documentary. Al talked to us about how he first found out about the work of Dr. Price, his own health wake-up call, and most importantly, the lifestyle hacks that he recommends to live a long, healthy, productive life. He is feeling healthier today than he felt decades ago, and he has some very simple, practical takeaways that can help us do the same. Before we get into the conversation, we want to pause and recognize our sponsors. This episode of the Wise Traditions podcast is supported in part by Just Thrive Probiotic and Antioxidant, the probiotic everyone's talking about. Go to thriveprobiotic.com. And Chelsea Green Publishing, cultivating change since 1984. Now an employee-owned company. Learn more at chelseagreen.com. And a quick note to let you know that the Wise Traditions Conference is coming up in Baltimore this November. You'll get to hear from all kinds of experts, so register today at wisetraditions.org. Hey, and I'm going to be there too. Welcome to Wise Traditions, Al.
Well, thank you. This is a huge opportunity, and thanks for inviting me.
Well, you've been a dentist for a long time. Did you get involved into this field of wellness through the teachings of Weston A. Price?
I am approaching 44 years of being a periodontist. So, I've been around the block for a long time. And all of my years in formal dental education, and all the CE courses that I've had to take until when I was 66 years old, I never heard the name Weston A. Price. Amazing, right?
That is amazing.
So when I had my stroke at the age of 59, I started to try to figure out what I needed to do to get healthier. I thought I was healthy at the age of 59. I had a stroke. Obviously, I wasn't healthy. So what did I need to do? So I went to the traditional organizations because of my conventional thinking. The American Heart Association, American Diabetic Association, American Cancer Society. And I looked to find how I needed to structure my life, not just lifestyle, but diet to be healthy. So from 59 to 66, I followed these regimens. I was on 7 medications. I weighed 187 pounds. And by the age of 66, I wasn't getting anywhere except I'm thinking that I'm learning something. So I found a course at, of all places, the Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health. It was called Nutrition Intensive for Healthcare Professionals. And it was 5 days. It started off on a Sunday evening. And the head speaker, his name was Dr. John Bagnulo, who is an awesome guy. And he started to talk about primal and ancestral nutrition. Blew me away. And he mentioned this name, Weston A. Price. And he's a dentist, he says. And I'm thinking, whoa, I'm a dentist. How come I don't know this name? Why hasn't it come up in all of my education?
That's a great question.
Yeah. So I'm learning about Weston A. Price. I'm seeing pictures. I'm understanding the science. I'm understanding the philosophy, and it blows me away. So after the 5 days, I go home. I tell my wife, let's make some changes. So she and I kind of bumped heads a little bit. And she said, I'll give you 30 days. So I literally cleared out my pantry. We had 7 bags of groceries that we took to our food bank, and we had no food in the house. I didn't know basically what organic or conventional farming was all about. I certainly didn't know farmer's market locally, but there were several. I didn't know anything. So we started to only eat basically Weston A. Price / Ancestral. They're all similar,
Mm-hmm.
but get rid of all the junk, get rid of all the processed foods.
And what happened?
Well, I'm 71 years old. And from the age of 66 to 71, I started off by being on 7 medicines for the rest of my life, and I'm on none now. And I've dropped from 187 pounds to this morning I weighed 152. I am healthier today than I have ever been. At least I feel healthier today than I've ever been. I've got plenty of energy, and I tell my patients, this is the way of life. This is the answer to chronic disease. So I went on to get various certifications and eventually wrote a book. And I am treating periodontal disease in somewhat of a traditional manner with the emphasis on ancestral nutrition and gut health and mitochondrial health. And I'm doing some studies, and I am stoked and passionate, and I am so appreciative of what you do, what your organization does, and what this philosophy that is called a fad. How can you have a fad that's been lasting for, if you believe in evolution, 250,000 years, but maybe at least 160,000 years?
That's a pretty long-lasting fad.
2.5 million years of a fad is not quite a fad. We are all in a similar camp. Vegans, vegetarians, Mediterranean, all of the different healthier lifestyles are all in one camp. We should be only fighting the standard American diet and the chemical industry that's putting in the chemicals and the electromagnetic fields that are destroying our gut microbiome and our mitochondria. We should be all in one camp. We can have differences, but we should all be thinking healthier is better. And then we can differentiate and tweak what is the healthiest of the healthy.
Absolutely.
But certainly a healthy group should not be fighting another healthy group and just leave the standard American dieters out there eating their McDonald's and sipping their Cokes and feeling fat and happy. That's crazy.
So what we're talking about, Al, is how to nurture the best health, which it sounds like you're in. You've got energy out the wazoo. I can tell from this conversation already. So how does this play a part in what you're involved in today? I understand you were recently interviewed for that Human Longevity Project documentary.
Yeah, this is a very exciting and groundbreaking documentary. What it's basically doing is looking at various communities throughout the world that are called blue zones, where people are living a healthier and happier life at the age of 90 and over. And what the producers and film crew did were to film these people and to not only interview them, but interview other healthcare professionals that are related in a variety of fields that have to do with longevity and anti-aging. Fortunately, as a periodontist, I was selected to give the dental perspective, which was an honor, and I'm excited about it. I think that this is groundbreaking. I think it's going to be very influential for almost everybody to listen to and understand.
And there is a big feeling right now. There is a big push for people to find ways to kind of stay young forever, or at least to slow down the aging process, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. But here's something that I think is very critical. And aging and longevity mean nothing if you don't have the quality of life. We are living very old in the United States, but we're living with significant chronic disease. The standard American diet will provide us with all the foods that make us pretty sick, pretty young. We create a degenerative state that gets worse and worse as we go along. So we're living into our 80s, but the quality of life really starts to decline when we're in our 40s and 50s. So that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I would certainly love to live as long as possible, but I definitely want to live the quality of life that I have today. And at the age of 71, I feel healthier than I've ever been. And like Mark Sisson says, just live long and then die. And that's what I want to do. I want to have a quality life, and then my heart can give out or whatever, and that's the end of it.
Andrew Whale says the same thing. He's like, rapid morbidity. Like, we're good. And then boom, we're done.
Right. Exactly.
It's a good objective. Now, as a dentist, what is your slant on this? Tell us some of the things that you mentioned when you were interviewed on that documentary.
Well, the most important thing actually is that chronic disease, which is what is causing our quality of life to decline rapidly, begins in the gut. And the gut microbiome are critical to our health. We have maybe 10 billion human cells, and we have probably 100 billion microbial cells. And the majority of them live in our gut. If we had a sterile gut, if we had no bacteria in our gut, we would die. So these bacteria critically allow the proper biological processes that keep us alive. When you have a dysbiotic or unhealthy balance of bacteria in the gut, it affects your entire immune system. It affects your host resistance, which means the way you can fight off infection. And what's interesting is the bacteria talk among themselves all over the body. So the bacteria, when they get damaged or unhealthy in the gut, create unhealthy bacteria in the mouth. Once that unhealthy bacteria is in the mouth and we're feeding it with unhealthy foods, processed foods, chemically laden foods, heavy metals, a variety of things, then we get gum disease and tooth decay. You know, dental plaque, which is a film around the tooth that is made up of maybe 700 or so bacteria, is healthy.
That is not what most dentists or dental hygienists tell us.
I know. Even dentists today that think they're biologic, dentists today use what is called a disclosing solution, which is kind of like a vegetable dye that you can swish in your mouth, and it turns the plaque around the teeth pink to red. Mm-hmm. And the idea is to scrub it off until it's gone. Well, let me tell you, first of all, if you look at skeletal remains from 20,000 to 10,000 years ago, there are gobs of hard structure between the teeth on the skeleton and the bone, which is actually calcified dental plaque. So scientists today can do DNA testing and evaluate these calcified areas of plaque, and they can find many, many, many bacteria. Some are virulent in their own right, some are not, but they're in a state of homeostasis. They're not causing disease. And we know that because we're not seeing much bone damage on these skeletal remains or tooth decay. So this dental plaque is normal. And actually, dental plaque has three main purposes. First of all, the dental plaque, as it accumulates around the tooth in a natural way, does create a healthy pH or acid level so that the tooth root doesn't demineralize or decay. It also produces, because of the semblance of all these bacteria, they produce a variety of types of hydrogen peroxide that kill off other potentially pathogenic bacteria from entering the dental plaque. And then the saliva, which is really the resource for the minerals in the mouth. The saliva will deposit its minerals that it gets from digestion, and those minerals will go into the plaque, and the plaque is kind of like the gatekeeper, and it will dispense those minerals to the root surface for 24-hour a day, 7 days a week, remineralization of the surface of the tooth if there's any damage or demineralization in the tooth or decay. So the dental plaque is critical. Now, there are so many products on the market to remove dental plaque, like xylitol. So xylitol inhibits the formation of the natural healthy biofilm of plaque on the tooth. So it's like going outside with no clothes. You're totally exposed. The tooth should not be exposed. And it is, again, a healthy biofilm.
I guess that's why this practice of cleaning the teeth, removing the plaque until it's totally gone, maybe that's why it started, because they wanted to get rid of something they thought was going to damage the tooth or cause an infection.
Absolutely, because the bacterial theory of disease would indicate if you have bacteria, you're going to get disease, so kill it. So there are, for example, most dentists and even physicians recommend an antimicrobial mouthwash every day. You probably would be thinking that that's a good idea. Why not? Well, it not only is unhealthy for the dental plaque because it's indiscriminate. Mouthwashes, just like antibiotics, are indiscriminate. So they kill the good stuff as well as the bad stuff. But here's an interesting thing that you may not know. Most of the odor-forming bacteria come from the top of your tongue, the base of the top of your tongue, towards your throat. So this bacteria is anaerobic, and it breaks down all kinds of food particles. And an overabundance of them can produce an odor and definitely should be removed. You can do that with an inverted spoon and scrape it off. But here's an interesting thing. If you use an antimicrobial mouthwash every day, you will kill this bacteria and probably remove most of the odor. But when you kill this bacteria, those bacteria are the basis of a very healthy biological process. When you eat foods like lettuce and a variety of foods that have natural nitrates, when you chew these foods and you swallow them, most of them get absorbed into your bloodstream in the upper part of your GI tract, the upper part of the small intestine. And then approximately 25% get absorbed in the salivary glands. Mm-hmm. Then the saliva pours this very biologically active nitrate into your mouth because of the saliva. And this anaerobic bacteria affects the nitrates to reduce them to what's called nitrites. Then you swallow it, you swallow your own saliva, you swallow the nitrites, and the nitrites go into your body, your gut, and a variety of other areas, and it becomes nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is critical for cardiovascular health and blood pressure control, among other things. So there were several studies that have shown that if you use an antimicrobial mouthwash every day, you can reduce your natural production of nitric oxide by 25% and increase your blood pressure. So there was a paper that was just published last year from a group of cardiologists, and they're talking to physicians, and they said, if you as a physician are treating your patients for high blood pressure and you're not getting the results that you think you should get from your medication, mm-hmm. then, and I'm not so sure that all that is the best way to go, but that's what the cardiologist said, then check and make sure they're not on an antimicrobial mouthwash, because they are in an unnatural way destroying the natural process that would naturally reduce their blood pressure. Let's get more holistic. The fact of coconut oil pulling, for example. Coconut oil has a certain degree of antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal activity. It's very good. But if you did coconut oil pulling in your mouth, and the people that do it, they suggest 10 or 20 minutes every day, you will destroy a lot of potentially bad bacteria and a lot of good bacteria. And I have seen patients that have been doing coconut oil pulling for several years that have virtually destroyed the oral microbiome. Just like if you were to take a penicillin capsule every day because you didn't want to have any bacteria in your gut, right. That would be pretty stupid. Doing oil pulling for an extended period of time every day is very damaging.
Wow. And it makes me think of farmers who use antibiotics in that same way preventively to avoid sickness among their livestock. They are damaging their microbiome. And then in turn, when we eat them, we're getting damaged goods, so to speak.
When we're talking about conventional farming, mm-hmm. that's a huge story, and you know that. But the animals and the proteins and the hormones, and then the food products that are being sprayed with glyphosate and other herbicides and pesticides, all of these residual products that theoretically aren't a problem in the human body are a huge problem in the human body, and especially because the way they affect our gut microbiome, and which affects the lining of the gut, which is only one cell layer thick. And then it pours into the bloodstream, creating chronic inflammation because our immune system is doing what it's supposed to do, and it's fighting an infection, but then it becomes chronic and it damages all other organ systems. And it affects every mitochondria in every cell. And the mitochondria are the batteries of the cell. The only cell in our body that doesn't have mitochondria are red blood cells. So the mitochondria are damaged. And when the mitochondria get damaged, the cell gets damaged. And whatever cell is being damaged, that cell can't function. So a brain cell won't function well, or a heart cell will not function well, or a muscle cell will not function well, and a gum tissue cell will not function well. And all of these are factors of damage to the gut microbiome and the mitochondria of the cells.
Coming up, Dr. Danenberg gives us his lifestyle tweaks on how to heal our gut, our gums, and achieve longevity. We pause now to recognize our sponsors, Just Thrive Probiotic and Antioxidant. Most probiotic pills just pass through our bodies without achieving the desired effect. Just Thrive is the first 100% spore-forming probiotic that arrives alive in the intestines naturally. It supports optimal gut health, digestive health, immune health, and it delivers antioxidants. It's great for adults, kids, the whole family. the probiotic everyone's talking about, Just Thrive Probiotic and Antioxidant. Visit their website at thriveprobiotic.com. And Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green Publishing is recognized as a leading publisher of books about organic farming, homesteading, local food, restorative living, and diet-focused integrative health. Some new, recent, and best-selling titles from Chelsea Green include Dr. Tom Cowan's Vaccines, Autoimmunity, and the Changing Nature of Childhood Illness, Dr. Sarah Myhill's Sustainable Medicine, and Dr. Nasha Winter's The Metabolic Approach to Cancer. Learn about these titles and more at chelseagreen.com. And as a special bonus for Wise Traditions listeners, receive 30% off your order from Chelsea Green by using the discount code WAPF30 at checkout. So let's talk now about some solutions. Let's talk actually personally about the 5 lifestyle tweaks that you, Al, have taken in and incorporated as part of your lifestyle to avoid these chronic illnesses. You know, that you said that stroke was a wake-up call. What are the habits that you have today that can help turn around your own gut health and improve not only your longevity, but your health for all your years?
First of all, it's essential. You can't put out a fire if you have a gasoline leak, correct? So what you need to do, absolutely, without a doubt, is to begin a healthy diet. Weston A. Price has on the website a beautiful layout of what a healthy diet consists of. But it's not just the food you eat, certainly, it's the food that you don't eat. You need to get rid of the toxic elements that are a problem to your body, but you have to put the good foods that are nutritious, the animal products that are pastured and wild caught, certainly, and eat from nose to tail. You have to eat the fats, you have to eat the vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds. You know that. That's the basis. But then I have worked in my own body and I work with my patients on a variety of other tweaks to improve what you're doing since you're getting a healthier lifestyle by eating healthy in the beginning. And that is, there is some great research in many medical journals about intermittent fasting and multi-day fasting. And what that basically means is you don't eat 5 or 6 meals a day. You might only eat 1 or 2 meals a day and maybe even skip a day or 2. And what that will do is actually improve your mitochondria. It improves your body's ability to remove unhealthy cells. Because when a cell is weak and you fast, those weak cells actually have triggers to die. And when they die, the nutrients that are left in the cell are reabsorbed. It's not like your body throws the cell away. It takes the healthy nutrients, and then whatever is junk, it gets rid of. So intermittent fasting will help those two things, as well as, because it's calorie restriction, it will help people that have obesity problems. So intermittent fasting is a phenomenal way to get healthier.
Absolutely. We've interviewed some experts on fasting. We have more on the list because we understand, just as you said, it's not just what we eat, but changing our eating pattern that can enhance our health, reduce inflammation, and more. So that's fantastic. What else have you done?
Well, exercise is very important. And walking is a critical exercise. Movement is critical. Standing more than sitting is critical. And in my book, I talk about all of these things. But there is an exercise program that Dr. Zachary Bush, who's a physician that holds several specialties, created, which is very, very interesting. It's basically a form of high-intensity interval training, and it's called his 4-minute daily exercise program. And a person could literally look it up on YouTube. It's a quick video, and it's a exercise program that doesn't require going to the gym. It doesn't require any special equipment. It's just your body. And it's movements with your hands. It's deep squats. There's a few other things that actually improves the production of nitric oxide in your body. It raises your heart rate, and it's extremely effective as an efficient and quick exercise program. You can do it once or twice a day. That's what I do.
That's wonderful. What we'll do is we'll put a link to that video and resource in our show notes for sure, because I know people can easily accommodate 4 minutes of exercise in a day, and that is a good step in the right direction. So talk to us a little bit about supplements. Do you have to supplement your diet at all?
So I don't believe in supplements per se. I believe in healthy food, but there are a couple things that I'm not going to say would be a supplement, although it is, because this is really naturally occurring, but I'm not getting it. Animals, when they defecate, they produce spores that get into very rich organic soil, and the spores of these bacteria get on the plants and vegetables and fruits. They're basically resistant to cooking, and so when you eat these spores, they're resistant to the acid in your stomach. They get into your gut, they repopulate themselves, and they produce other healthy bacteria, and they're called spore-based probiotics. 99% of the probiotics in the marketplace today are not true probiotics. They're living bacteria cells that may be beneficial, and people can count them and look at how many there are in these little capsules. However, when you take all of these living bacterial cells and you eat them in a capsule or whatever, the stomach acid does exactly what it's supposed to do. It kills them. If we were not to have good stomach acid and we would eat all kinds of bacteria and microbes, we would be infested with all kinds of overpopulation of bad bacteria. Our stomach has a lot of purposes, and one of the purposes is to kill microbes. I mean, the acidity is like a pH of 1. So it will destroy almost all of these healthy type bacteria in the probiotic. And then if it gets through the stomach, the bile salts that are produced by the liver and get into the duodenum will actually destroy the rest of them. So you're not getting any living bacteria in the gut. But what you are getting with all of these other probiotics are the metabolites of the bacteria, which are very beneficial and healthy to the gut. And even these dead bacteria are, because of their breakdown products, are very healthy to the gut, but they don't repopulate the gut bacteria. Spore-based probiotics are the only ones that do. And some of the newer research is mind-boggling. For example, there was a study that was published in 2017 by the University of Texas Medical School, and they looked at a product that had 5 bacillus spore-based probiotics. They looked at a variety of people, and they selected 48 people that when they were given a challenge meal like a fast food burger, they produced a huge amount of what's called endotoxemia. So endotoxemia means that they ate this bad food, it aggravated the bad bacteria in the gut, it leaked into the blood system because of a leaky gut, and a blood test evaluated this toxic substance in the blood, and it's called endotoxemia. So they identified 48 people that had high endotoxemia after they ate a quick meal like that. So they did a double-blind study. They took 24 that they used placebos, which obviously were nothing but cellulose capsules, and then 24 had to take these 5 spore-based probiotics in a capsule. They had to take 2 capsules a day. They didn't change any of their eating habits. They didn't change any of their lifestyle. They did it for 2 capsules a day for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, they had another challenge meal. They took a blood test before the challenge meal and then 3 or 4 hours after the challenge meal. And the individuals, the group that were on the spore-based probiotic, had a 42% reduction in endotoxemia, even though they were eating junky food. That's huge. The placebo group had a 32% increase in endotoxemia.
Wow.
That is an amazing statement. There are other researchers that are doing more research with spore-based probiotics, and I think that is the way to go in the future. So my third tweak is I do take a spore-based probiotic on a regular basis.
Yes, I believe Kiran Krishnan, who we've had on the show a couple of times, he has addressed this very issue. So spore-based probiotics, what else, Al?
Vitamin K2 has a huge benefit. We know that we don't get much vitamin K2. There are natural sources, but this particular vitamin K2 is sourced from fermented foods, natto, as a matter of fact, and your body can make all the different formations of vitamin K2 that it needs from vitamin K2, MK7. So I take this in a high dose. Actually, it has been shown to enhance and even restore damaged mitochondria. fascinating because the mitochondria are critical for the health of every cell in the body.
Vitamin K2, I believe, is the vitamin that Dr. Price identified as activator X. In other words, he knew there was something that was making a difference in people's health, but he didn't know what it was. So he just dubbed it activator X. But really, we believe today it was vitamin K2.
And it is in grass-fed butter, not grain-fed butter, but it's in grass-fed butter, correct. And it's coming from the greens of the grass. Absolutely. The other tweak is something that is going to become very, very mainstay in the future, and that is the damage that is occurring to our cells from dirty electromagnetic fields. And there is a technology that has some very good research, medical research, that shows a type of pulsed electromagnetic field, which is a type of vibration frequency that can repair the damage in the body from dirty electromagnetic fields. So if you can imagine sitting in a house, look at your iPhone, for example, and look at the settings and see how many Wi-Fi signals are around you. Even if you prevented your house from having any Wi-Fi, how much is all around you? Walk outside, Wi-Fi everywhere. You can't run away from it, especially if you're living in the United States.
True.
So if there is a method that can kind of clear out the problems in your body and resolve the issues so that you're not affected by the EMFs that are bombarding you, that could be a game changer. So I have found some interesting technology called pulsed electromagnetic field therapy that I use for myself as a mat. I lay on a mat for 16 minutes twice a day, and it's amazing the tests that have been done on my skin to show that I'm not having electromagnetic field damage. That's pretty interesting.
That's powerful. So. We just interviewed Dr. George Carlo, and he was talking about these magnetic fields, the radiation we're exposed to. And he said, you know what? We have to adapt. We have to resist. We have to get stronger because you're right. We can't necessarily escape all the waves that are coming at us. And this pulsed electromagnetic field therapy may be just the thing for some of us. So I'm so thankful that you've brought these 5 ideas to us that have helped you. And again, you are one individual, but you are well respected in the field of dentistry, periodontics, and also in nutrition therapy. So I feel like you're bringing so much to the table, Al. We would love to talk to you again. I do need to wrap up now, though, with one question. If the listener could do one thing to improve their health, what would you recommend that they do?
Absolutely, without a doubt, improve your gut microbiome.
That is powerful. And you've given us a lot of ideas on how to go about that. So I want to thank you for your time today and hope we can talk to you again sometime soon.
It's my pleasure, Hilda. Thanks for the opportunity. I loved it.
My guest today was Dr. Alvin Danenberg. For more on Al and his resources, visit his website, drdanenberg.com. For the full show notes for today's episode, just go to our website, westinaprice.org, and look for the show notes for episode 134. Hey, and if you're enjoying this podcast, go ahead and subscribe through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a thing. And thanks for helping us get the word out about Wise Traditions, by the way. Your sharing episodes on social media or your review on iTunes, sharing links with friends, all of those things help us spread the word about how food can be our medicine. And don't forget that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Weston A. Price and find us on Facebook, the Weston A. Price Foundation. You can also follow me personally at Holistic Hilda on Twitter, at holistic_Hilda on Instagram. And next week, everyone, we have the privilege of hearing from farmer, author, and sustainable living advocate Joel Salatin. Most of you know how long Joel has been at the forefront of this regenerative agriculture movement. Joel was highlighted in Michael Pollan's book, The Omnivore's Dilemma, and he is a prolific author in his own right. Some of his most well-known books are Everything I Want to Do is Illegal and Folks, This Ain't Normal. This last book was recently published in Spanish, which led Joel to Spain. That's where we start our conversation, actually not in Spain literally, but talking about his worldwide travels, the state of farming all around the world, or at least in the countries he visited. And then we bring it back hyper-local to his farm and our own backyards. So stay tuned for next week's episode. It's going to be maravilloso. And actually, since I'm speaking in Spanish, let me segue here and tell you that we have a couple of bonus episodes that are coming up that are going to be really spectacular. One is in English. It is a focus on the journal and the spring issue in particular of the Wise Traditions Journal. I'm interviewing Sally about highlights on the issue that focused on mercury, and the other is a bonus episode that's going to be in Espanol. Yes, we are going to record an introduction to the Weston A. Price Foundation principles and the Wise Traditions diet in Spanish. So get ready to listen and or share that one with all of your Spanish-speaking friends. Finally, a big thank you to my friends at Podcast Village for editing and for all of your moral support, and to the team of interns for the show: Cynthia Castro Cohen Enriquez, Joy de los Santos, Amy Marvin, Deirdre Beard, Diva Rizvi, Melanie Ahern, Mary Hine, and Olga de Villiers. And last but not least, please visit the podcast page on the westonaprice.org website. There is a super brief survey that we want you to fill out. We want to know you better so that we can keep delivering the content that means the most to you. I promise it'll only take just a moment to fill out. And thanks for helping us out. We appreciate you so much, everybody, and keep listening.
Did you know that there are Weston A. Price Foundation chapters all over the U.S. and around the world? Chapter leaders help you find good food in your area, and some have meetings you can attend. Go to our website, westonaprice.org, and click on Find a Local Chapter to see if there is one near you. Wise Traditions is brought to you by the Weston A. Price Foundation for Wise Traditions in Food, Farming, and the Healing Arts. The content of this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for medical advice.